In 2026, America is a land of extremes. Some states are booming with tech, finance, and booming real estate. Others, well, let's just say the struggle is real. Today, we're diving into the 10 poorest states in America, where the cost of living might be low, but so are the average incomes. These states are home to hard-working people making the most of limited opportunities, because apparently hope doesn't require a paycheck, right? From shrinking industries to underfunded schools and patchy healthcare, these states are doing their best to keep things afloat. And let's be honest, sometimes surviving is harder than thriving. So buckle up, because this ranking isn't about judgment, it's about understanding the realities Americans face in 2026, with a pinch of sarcasm to keep us sane. Number 10. New Mexico. Ah, New Mexico, the land of enchantment. Beautiful landscapes, rich culture, stunning sunsets, and unfortunately, low wages to match. In 2026, New Mexico's economy is still heavily dependent on government spending, oil, and tourism, which is cute if you're a visitor looking for hot air balloons or chili festivals. But if you actually live there and want to pay your bills, well, that's another story. Rural counties in New Mexico see chronic poverty, limited job options, and a brain drain that makes even the roadrunners feel underemployed. Many residents work multiple jobs just to make ends meet. Schools, healthcare, and public infrastructure struggle to keep up, and some towns feel like they exist in a time warp where the 1970s never ended, except the wages did. Still, the culture here is rich. Art, music, and community pride thrive. Sometimes surviving on $25,000 a year while admiring the desert sunset is just called living the dream. Number 9. Alabama. Next, we have Alabama, sweet home of low wages, that is. In 2026, the state continues to struggle with economic inequality, especially in rural counties. Manufacturing jobs that once paid decently have disappeared, and agriculture isn't exactly printing money these days. Even cities like Birmingham and Montgomery, which are slowly diversifying into tech and service industries, have their pockets of poverty stretching like an unwelcome shadow. Schools are underfunded, healthcare access is limited, and some small towns have more abandoned buildings than open businesses. But hey, at least the college football is good, right? Alabama residents might be economically challenged, but their community pride and their football obsession remain strong. Number 8. Kentucky. Kentucky, home of bourbon, horse racing, and shrinking economies. Coal, once the backbone of the state, has declined drastically, leaving many towns struggling to reinvent themselves. By 2026, rural poverty is widespread. Wages lag behind national averages, and economic mobility is more of a suggestion than a reality. Of course, the state tries. Tourism, bourbon distilleries, and horse racing bring in money, but these industries don't exactly pay the bills for the average resident. Schools are underfunded in rural areas, healthcare access is limited, and young people leave for brighter futures elsewhere. West Virginia's story is a mix of charm, culture, and economic reality. Sometimes a bourbon distillery can't fix a decades-long decline, but at least it smells nice. Number 7. Mississippi. Mississippi consistently ranking low in income stats, but high in cultural richness. In 2026, Mississippi's economy is still struggling. Agriculture and manufacturing jobs don't provide the stability they once did, and rural communities continue to face high poverty rates. Wages are low, education access is limited, and healthcare challenges make daily life a balancing act. Yet Mississippians remain resilient. Music, food, and cultural traditions flourish. There's pride in community, even when paychecks are modest. And let's face it, surviving on less than the national median does require a little creativity and probably a lot of sweet tea. Number 5. Arkansas. Arkansas may be picturesque with its rivers and mountains, but in 2026, the economy isn't quite as scenic. Rural poverty remains widespread, and wages in small towns are low. Cities like Little Rock see slow diversification into technology and services, but the majority of the state still relies on agriculture, manufacturing, and low-wage service work. Education and healthcare gaps exacerbate the situation. Residents juggle multiple jobs, commute long distances, or rely on family support systems. And while natural beauty abounds, it doesn't exactly pay the bills. Number 4, West Virginia. West Virginia, where the mountains are high but the wages are not so much. The decline of coal and heavy industry has left deep economic scars. Rural poverty rates remain high, and young people continue to leave in search of better opportunities. By 2026, many towns are shrinking, and services struggle to keep up. Yet West Virginians have long leaned on community networks, family ties, and a strong sense of resilience. In other words, they survive, but don't expect to get rich doing it.
Number 4, Louisiana. Louisiana is an economic contradiction. Oil and gas bring wealth to some, while much of the state continues to struggle with poverty. In 2026, rural areas, particularly in the South and along the bayous, see low wages, limited health care, and underfunded education systems. Hurricanes and flooding exacerbate these issues, creating a constant economic challenge. New Orleans and Baton Rouge might be booming tourist spots, but step a few miles away, reality looks very different. In Louisiana, it's possible to experience Mardi Gras joy while your neighbors are figuring out how to stretch a paycheck over 3 months. Number 3, Oklahoma. Oklahoma relies heavily on oil, gas, and agriculture. In 2026, while these industries provide some jobs, wage growth remains slow, and rural areas face persistent poverty. Healthcare, education, and social services are stretched thin in less populated counties. Young people often leave for better opportunities elsewhere. Oklahoma's story shows that natural resources alone don't guarantee wealth for everyone. You might be surrounded by oil wells and wheat fields, but still find yourself wondering how to pay the rent this month. Number 2, Arizona. The desert state has more than just cacti and scorching summers to worry about. In 2026, urban growth in Phoenix and Tucson mask widespread poverty in rural areas. Tribal lands, northern Arizona, and smaller towns face limited job opportunities, low wages, and underfunded services. Living in Arizona might mean beautiful sunsets and endless hiking trails, but also sky-high utility bills and struggling rural schools. The state's economic story is a tale of contrast, booming cities and struggling communities existing side by side. Number 1, Mississippi. Yes, Mississippi takes the top spot again. In 2026, it's still America's poorest state. Low median incomes, chronic underemployment, and limited access to health care, education, and infrastructure define the state's economic reality. Rural communities in particular feel the strain, while even the cities face systemic challenges. Despite all this, Mississippians maintain cultural pride, tight-knit communities, and an uncanny ability to survive on very little. In other words, if money doesn't buy happiness, Mississippi residents might be the happiest poor people in America, or at least the wittiest. The states on this list are more than just numbers. They're communities filled with hard-working people doing their best in challenging circumstances. Poverty isn't just a statistic, it's a lived experience of limited opportunity, systemic challenges, and resilience.